Hey everyone, welcome to our annual banquet. Obviously we're virtual this year, hoping everyone's staying safe and enjoying some popcorn or some food or a good drink. I'm Roger Jans, the director of Kinwell Academy, and with me is Leah Wertman. She's a sophomore here at Kinwell. How you doing, Leah?
Good.
Good. We just wanted to first introduce Kinwell. Some of you don't know exactly what we do. We are a non-public alternative school who partners with public schools to take students who are falling behind, struggling, getting in trouble, anything like that. A lot of times we're an alternative to an expulsion, or it could just be bad attendance issues or ADHD or anxiety. Any way that we can help serve the students who are kind of falling through the cracks at public schools, that's who we want to help serve. So Aaliyah is one of those students. She's been with us for about a year now, so she's gotten to know our culture and our staff really well, so we're excited that you get to know her a little bit. We're going to interview a couple students today. You're going to meet one of our graduates. You're going to meet the rest of our staff, so we're super excited that you're here. Our main goal for this banquet is two parts. One is we're trying to raise $25,000. We need $25,000 to really do what we wanted to do with trips next year. We want to expand getting students out of the building and experiencing new parts of the country even. We've been going to Kentucky, we've been to Ohio. Aaliyah went to Ohio last year with us for 4 days. When I asked her about it earlier, the most memorable thing was what?
Well, us not having our phones and electricity being off.
We roughed it out there in Ohio, but it was great. And so trips are a big part of what we do. Obviously we have to do the school part, but we've learned that there's a lot of learning that can happen outside of school. And so getting students to experience things even like disc golf here in Marion, taking them to Indianapolis, Chicago, Detroit, just getting out in the world and spending time outside of the classroom has been extremely beneficial for us. So $25,000 is what we're looking for. What do you think about that?
That's great.
With 25,
wow.
Set us up nice?
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. Yep, so $25,000 is the goal. We've already had a few donations come in, so we're super thankful for you guys, and you can get on our website and donate through that. There's a give option on there, so we'd love to raise as much as we can in this next half hour that you're with us. A little bit about us. So at Kinwell, students come to us for 3 hours a day, and once they walk in the door, the whole plan is to build relationship and get to know the students. When students come to us, they're struggling. There's a lot of things going on below the surface that are causing that struggle. The grades and the lack of attendance is just the fruit of something that's going on below the surface. So our staff, which consists of 3 of us, we want to get to know the students and find out what's making that student tick and try to fill in some gaps that they might otherwise be having. So once they walk in the doors, it's extremely relational. We work in small groups. We have a student-to-teacher ratio of about 5 to 1, where students can really get to know a teacher and hopefully get closer than teacher-student. We ultimately just want to be family. And that's kind of where our name comes from. The name Kinwell is 2 parts, kin for family. At students' first day, we want them to just be smothered with care and love. We want them to feel welcomed and a part of something that's a new beginning and something fresh. And so that's where the kin for kinship is. And the well part is from a story in the Bible from John chapter 4 where Jesus meets the Samaritan woman at the well, and she's got a lot of baggage, a lot of hurt in her life, and Christ meets her, and that encounter gives her a new energy, a new life, a new passion for the gospel and the good news that Jesus Christ carries with him. And that's what we want to do with our students as well, is be a source of life for our students and ultimately guide them to the cross where they can encounter Jesus themselves. And that's also a big part of our trips. There's a big spiritual component to getting students out and spending time with them. It's amazing how deep conversations can get around a fire where phones don't work and power's out and there's no distractions. So trips are just a backbone. We're trying to do more and more with these students outside of the school building. So in a second here, we're going to transition over to our family room. And our family room is the part of our building that we've dedicated to just building family. Do you want to talk a little bit about what we do in family times?
Yeah, when it's family time, it's not about school, it's not about doing our work or just education. It's about education, but it's about the people around us and about God, and we talk about our problems and
Hey everyone, my name is Tyler Dresbach. So glad you all could join us here tonight. And I have Jaden with me. Jaden
Hello.
is a recent graduate
Yeah.
of Kinwell. She completed her 40 credit general education minimum just, what was that, a week and a half ago or so?
I think, yeah.
Yeah, so it was really fun to be with her, walk with her through math. I kind of focus on math here with most of the students. And Jaden was one of my delights of bringing a student through math just because she every day came in ready to work and never had a single excuse as to why she shouldn't be doing math. So we'd love to hear about Jaden, and so excited to share with you guys here. So Jaden, you came to us as a freshman.
Second semester.
Second semester freshman, and a big life event had just happened for you. So would you want to share about how you came to Kinwell?
Yeah, I just found out that I was pregnant, and I was 15, and so that was a lot to handle and try to just figure out what my life was going to look like after that. And yeah, so came to Kinwell after that.
What was your feeling about school when you found out that you were pregnant?
I honestly didn't know if I was going to be able to finish school or how it was going to look like keeping my baby or just figuring out how to be a mom and balance school. So it was a lot.
Yeah. So before you came to Kinwell, so before even that even happened, what were some of the life events, I suppose, that kind of led to eventually Kinwell?
So my parents weren't very involved at all. My dad was in and out of jail. My mom was there, but wasn't very involved. She was on and off drugs, and so I lived with my grandma quite often. And then we were never made to go to school, so I was really far behind in school. Yeah, so it was just a lot trying to catch up in school and then coming here.
Yeah, so when Jaden came here, we've seen a lot of teen moms come through and not make it. So we had no reason, we didn't know Jaden at all, so we didn't necessarily think, oh, Jaden, she's not going to make it. But whenever that's happened, it's just been like, okay, like, can she do it? Is this one who's going to make it? And I think right off the bat, we realized Jaden was driven to the point where we had no doubt that she was going to make it. So would you want to share a little bit about your first time here at Kinwell, like what that beginning few years was like and that transition you had?
It was challenging trying to just start high school, trying to be pregnant, but everybody was very accepting, and right off the bat, everybody told me I could do this and gave me lots of advice, and Ms. Witzig was great with that as well, and I just really felt like I had a really big support system, which was huge, and it was just, you guys have always been understanding when I need to stay home and just helping me get everything I need.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you kind of allude to the family or culture at Kinwell. What would you say is like the biggest thing that's impacted you with that?
You want to go a little?
Like the culture of Kinwell or your relationship with God, like how that journey with him has changed?
It's changed a lot. I would say I always knew who God was, but I never knew just how much he loved me. And so that was just, you guys just show us how to just go through that relationship with him. And you guys are just great examples of that. So it's easy to ask questions, and you guys are more than willing to answer them and just guide us through it.
Yeah.
So it's definitely brought me closer to God, and now I get to share that with my little boy. And
yeah, I say one thing I love about you is that you're always willing to ask a question, especially from Scripture. So Jaden, she'd all the time. I mean, I feel like we'd have weekly conversations.
Yeah.
You'd be like, so I heard this the other day, or I was reading and it says this, and then we just get to talk about what the Bible says about this and what was Jesus's intent when he said or did this. And that to me is like, that's really one of the reasons why I'm here. to see someone like you pursue that, because that's really what we think is the most important thing. So we're really happy that you led the way with that in terms of the school, because the school culture, that's what we really want to see. So would you want to share a little bit about the second time you found out that you were pregnant with a child and that transition too?
Yeah, that was very emotional, I would say. I was really scared and felt like I was gonna just let everybody down, but quickly realized that I did not let any of them down, and here they were again to support me and make sure that that I had everything that I needed. So that meant a lot.
Yeah, I that memory of you sharing with me the first time is very vivid to me, and
That was rough.
I just remember I remember believing that you're still going to do this. You're going to pull it off, and having no doubt that you were again going to be a great mom, and that you'd also be able to finish high school to set your kids up for the best success they can too.
And here I am.
Look at you now.
Yeah.
You finished early, so it's really great. One last thing here, if you want to share a little bit about how you feel now, having graduated.
It's feels amazing to just know that I could do it, and just trying to figure out the next part of my life with 2 little ones, and it's just feels really, really good to just know that we did it together.
Yeah, we definitely did.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jaden.
Thank you.
Caring about school and my responsibilities in middle school, I got bullied for not wearing the nicest clothes or playing sports. Then I started skipping school by faking that I was sick. I'd put tea in my mouth, and then my mom would come in, and then I'd swallow it, put a thermometer underneath my tongue, and then it'd say like I have a high temperature, and that's how I'd get out of school. I started coming home from school crying all the time. I began smoking weed to ease the pain. One day I was in school, and some kid came up to me and was making fun of me, and it was like I had no control over my body. I started swinging and got kicked out of school. And a couple months later, I found myself locked up for possessions of drugs. I got locked up for 9 months and 3 days. When I got out, I knew I had to get my head on straight. I needed to figure out where to go to school, so I talked with my family and friends. They talked about their experiences at Kinwell. I met with Roger and enrolled the next day. I quickly saw that this was a different school. Everyone wanted to connect with each other and become great friends. I always struggled with tests, so they showed me to take notes even though I hated them. I started passing tests, and now I'm flying through my classes. On Friday, Roger, Drez, and Amanda will take us on trips. We play disc golf, pickleball, and go on big trips to other states. We have a ton of fun. Our teachers don't feel like teachers. They feel like family and someone you can count on. You can talk to them about everything. After I graduate, I want to look into Army or architect or working at something small to get a car and a house. I want to carry on a good legacy for my kids and the future. Thank you.
That's great. Appreciate you sharing that. You know, one thing you mentioned, like you want to kind of carry on a good legacy, and you mentioned your mom struggled with addiction, and she's now been clean for a while, right?
8 years.
8 years clean. So she's doing her part to really kind of help your guys' family out. She's been a great mom as of late here, so that's been awesome. And that's something that you want to continue to turn that tide your family. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
What are you kind of doing right now to make ends meet?
Right now, I'm just like trying to meet my goals in school because I got behind, and like when I was locked up, COVID hit. But I've been doing tree work on the side, saving money, saving up for my car and working on getting my permit as we speak. So, but it's small steps for me right now so I can lead into big steps.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, Caden's been working really hard since he's been here, so we're really proud of you, Caden. Really appreciate you. Thanks for stopping by, bud. Appreciate you. We had a question come in. Someone asked, how do you get enrolled at Kinwell, which is a fantastic question. So the trick with our school is that we only partner with public schools. So we actually don't take kids just off the street. There's no free enrollment. Because if that were the case, then we would be competing with public schools, and that's not what we want to do. We really believe in our public schools here in Grant County. Marion High School has been so good to us over the years. We couldn't exist without them. This is a product of Marion Community Schools believing in their students. So we can't praise them enough for what they're doing that really most people don't know. It's a lot easier to just kind of write these kids off and expel them or withdraw them to homeschool. But Marion High School believes in these kids, and they're kind of fitting the bill for them. So Mississinawa, Oak Hill, Eastbrook, Madison Grant, they've all been partners with us, and we have students with them. So if someone wants to enroll, the conversation starts with the public school. They talk to the principal there, say this is what we're interested in. If the principal agrees that, yeah, this would be a good transition for them to go to Kinwell, the principal will contact me. We meet with the family. Families have to choose to come to Kinwell because we're faith-based, so they can't be forced to come. So family chooses to come, principal okays it, then they enroll with us. And then while they're here, they're actually still a public school student. So when Caden graduates, he's going to get a Marion High School diploma through Kinwell Academy. So it's a really cool system. Thank you guys so much for chatting and asking questions. Again, you can donate while we're talking here. We'd love to have you donate while we're talking. We want to follow this along. So far, we've got $900, so we're real excited about that. Again, our goal is $25,000. Really set us up nice for next year and our trips. So next up, we have Tiana Fritsch.
Hi.
Hey, Tiana. Tiana is one of the many family members that we've had here. We had her older sister Taylor with us for a few years. She kind of paved the way at Kinwell, and so she had such a great time with us that her younger sister decided to follow suit. So Tiana has prepared something to share with you guys, so take it away, Tiana.
Hi, I'm Tiana. I'm a sophomore at Kinwell Academy. When I first started out school, I went to a charter school where they was very abusive to the children there. It made it very difficult to focus with my ADHD. I'd always get in trouble and come home with marks on me, and me being at such a young age, it was always hard for me to explain to my parents what would happen. So for me, school has always been difficult. I suffer from very bad ADHD, so it's hard for me to stay focused sometimes. I'd stopped caring about my schoolwork and stopped trying on everything. Once I started middle school, I had a very difficult time trusting my teachers. And also at the same time, my parents was just getting a divorce. That affected me a lot because it made it harder to spend time with my dad since he moved out and really didn't try to come see me and my siblings. A couple weeks after my parents got divorced, my great-grandma ended up passing away, and me and my family was very close to her. It was very difficult. It was a very difficult time on my family. When I started high school, it was when COVID very first hit. So it was difficult for me to work from home and try to focus all the time. So at that point, I'd end up just leaving and going out and going and partying without my mom knowing. Sorry, Mom. Sometimes I'd start arguments with my mom, and it made it seem like it was always her fault, but it wasn't. She always felt like she wasn't doing something right, but she's the best mom ever. Love you, Mom. I then finally got settled down and came to Kinwell. When I first came in, I thought it was going to be I thought it was going to be same as the rest of my schools, and it was going to be very difficult on me. But everything was different when I actually started to care about my grades and get a diploma. If it wasn't for Kinwell Academy, I don't know where I'd be right now. Since I've been in this school, I've met lots of amazing people. It's been so amazing to be part of this school. The teachers are very understanding and they help me with life and schoolwork. Drez is even teaching me how to play guitar right now. I'm playing Tennessee Whiskey by Chris Stapleton, which is my favorite song. The teachers also take us on these amazing trips. Like Roger said, we went to Ohio once. It was Hocking Hills. We stayed in a cabin. We went hiking. There was a hot tub, which was my favorite part. It was just so amazing to get away from the city and get off of technology, even though some of us didn't. When we came back from the trip, I realized that I really loved nature more and was willing to explore more things around me. It was very fun to hang out with teachers and have a family trip like that. When I graduate, I'm planning on becoming a nurse and working my way up to being a pediatric surgeon. Thank you.
Great job, Tiana. Really proud of you. So you've been with us, this is your second year. You mentioned COVID and starting virtual. How has that affected, you started off high school like in the middle of a pandemic. How has that affected kind of your optimism about school and that type of thing?
Well, for me to work from home, I would always like sit there and I'd try to do my work and my family would be like watching TV in the background because they was home working too and everything. So I'd always get distracted and like turn around and look at the TV, or I'd go and say I'm hungry and I'm really not, and like, or I gotta go take a shower and I gotta do laundry and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And like just forget about my schoolwork.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's something I want to talk a minute about. And thank you so much, Tiana. You did a great job. Appreciate it. This has been a tough year for us. So many of our students has started this year with us a year behind, and that's something that we're trying to kind of tackle. It's been unique. This has been a big strain on our school systems kind of across the board, but so many of our students here in our community are struggling to get caught up where they should be. The Department of Education, Marion High School, all our Grant County schools are doing what they can to help students, but this is something that's very real for us. And so this year has been very tough. We've recognized over our time of doing this, collecting data, that our students struggle with optimism, finding hope. And so many of our students are in a spot of poverty where there's already such little hope. And now with so many being a year behind that, what hope they had is even getting smaller. And so we're trying to brainstorm and strategize with our staff of, what do we do to raise hope back up? How do we kind of come back as a family and rejuvenate what we once had? And we believe culture and experiences are what's going to bring that hope back. And so we are trying to pump as much family and love that we possibly can into our school. When students are acting out as a result of not having hope or having a struggle the night before, we're trying to embrace that with, hey, let's go grab a cup of coffee. As opposed to, if you're acting out, get out of the building. That's the easy default method. Instead, we're trying to press in and lean in more and say, no, let me hear you. Let me hear the struggle that's going on. I've been doing this for a while. This is my 10th year doing this, and I couldn't imagine doing anything else. Getting to know these students over these last few years has changed my life. I didn't grow up with much struggle. I had it pretty good. And being in with these students and remaining curious and hearing the adversity that they go through that was mostly not their fault has changed my life. It's impacted me in a way that's drawn me closer to Christ. It's brought so much more grace and compassion to this community. Things that would frustrate me, things I would hear that's going on, things I'd read about in the news that were harmful and vandalizing that would irritate me. But now, when I get to know these students, I see what's going on behind the surface, and it moves me to a deeper compassion and act to move and to get closer to the problem. And that's what I want for the rest of our community. That's the power I think these students have as they get their stories out, is it brings this reality to something that remains distant otherwise, right? And so if you can get closer to this reality, your heart's moved. And that's what we want, is we want this community, we want Grant County to be filled with compassion and love, as opposed to division and hatred and frustration. That's what the enemy wants. He wants to divide us, confuse us, and turn us against each other. But what we're trying to do, align with Christ, and that is to bring unity and love and compassion for each other. So please, we'd love to have you guys get involved. we've talked so much about these trips, and that money all has to be fundraised, the trips that we do. The community schools are such a blessing to us. They cover the costs, all the salaries, all that stuff is paid for. That doesn't need to be fundraised. Every dime that's donated is given right back to the students. It's impacting a student's life, primarily through trips, but there's so many other things that we want to do. We have teen moms who are struggling to fill their refrigerator. We have kids who are, all they've had to eat when they come into school is a bag of chips, and we're trying to change that diet and provide some good food for our students. So all that money needs to be fundraised, and that's what we need $25,000 for, to kind of meet some of those needs and fill those goals that we have to impact the culture of our students. And we have another question coming in.
Besides donations, how can people get involved with Kinwell?
Yeah, so obviously we need donations, but just as important is we need community. There's 3 of us staff members here, me, Drez, who you met, and Amanda, who is finishing up her 5th year at Taylor University, works for us. And there's only 3 of us with 32 students right now. Our max is 40, so we'll probably fill that up before the end of this year. So that's not a lot of support. So we need people to get involved. And the cool thing is we want you to be creative. If there's something that you're excited about, you're passionate about, we'd love to hear your ideas and get you involved in Kinwell. A big thing is food. We love to eat. Believe it or not, the camera, they say adds 10 pounds. It's like 30 to 40 pounds for me. Whatever that is, the camera does that. I love to eat, and our family here loves to eat. And so if you have a crock pot meal that you love to make, we would love to devour it. So we're going to meal train on our website and in our newsletter. We send out a newsletter every other Friday, and we hate to call it a newsletter. We're going to think of a better name for it, but we want to give you an inside look at Kinwell and what it's like to be here day in and day out. You're going to read about how God is moving our staff and our students further along in this journey with Him. So we'd love to have you join up on our newsletter. You can do that on the website, and there's ways to get involved there. But if you have something that you're really passionate about, send me an email. Again, my email's on the website. I'd love to hear from you and get you involved in Kinwell because we need as much family as possible. Great question, and we have more.
Does Kinwell Academy get criticism for including faith issues in public education? How do they respond?
Yeah, great question. So the faith component of our school is, again, the student has to choose to come to our school. And with that choice allows us to be function as a private school that's faith-based. We don't get a lot of criticism, and we also don't jam it down students' throats. I would love to have each of these students that you just met with today talk about where they are in their journey with God. Most of our students come into this school hating the idea of God or hating God, because if God's there, then why has He allowed this to happen to me? Or if God's there, why is there so much pain and struggle around? And those are fantastic questions that I ask myself. And so we all kind of join together in this journey and experience who is God, right? It's not anything, you don't have to be a Christian to come here. In fact, I don't enroll many Christians. I want the kids who are trying to figure this stuff out. And that's who we go after. So it's not anything forceful. We've never had anyone upset or withdraw because of our faith, because it's not my job to convince you of that. We're just going to kind of walk through this together. So fantastic question. If you have any more questions, we'll be wrapping up here in just about a couple minutes. So fire away. And also please continue to donate on the Give page on our website. We'd really appreciate it. Again, to close up here, thank you so much for being a part of our family. I'm glad you got to meet some of our awesome students. We've got about 30 more students out there who would love to meet you as well. So stop by. We're on Western Avenue behind Dunkin' Donuts and Papa John's, just south of Taco Bell. Stop in and say hi. We have an open door policy. You got to ring the doorbell though because it's locked. But ring the doorbell. We'd love to meet you and see how we can get you involved. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. If you have any more questions, the chat will be open for a little bit and we can respond on there. Again, donate at kinwellacademy.org, and thank you so much.
Roger.
Yes.
What's a funny story, like a story that you can tell, an appropriate story, that has taken place on one of those trips?
All right, a funny story on one of our trips. We laugh a lot on these trips. Aaliyah, why don't you come back and join me? Amazingly enough, we go on a lot of hikes on these trips. I love the outdoors, I love nature, and so we go out and explore the woods. But honestly, some of the funniest moments are just hanging out at the cabin. We played a game called Kemps.
You would bring me right here.
Yes, I needed you for
Bring this
Kemps.
up.
Kemps is a game where you have to communicate with your partner that you have a certain number of cards in your hand without the rest of the team playing against you noticing that communication is happening. So it's about strategy, being sneaky, fits right in our students' hands. Aaliyah almost becomes a mind reader in Kemps. I'm not sure how she does it, but we stayed up till I think it was like 1 or 2 in the morning playing Kemps, arguing, yelling at each other, and just dying laughing, tears rolling down our face as Aaliyah is just busting out everyone on Kemps. What was some of your favorite moments from the Ohio trip?
Definitely Cody. He knows every car. I asked him, and he knew it. Like, I saw a Corvette. He said, that's a Corvette 9260. Like, I'm like, what do the numbers even mean? Like, he was saying all that. And then, like, Cody was the toughest guy out there on all our hikes. He was ready to take down any animal we saw, a bear, it didn't matter, a lion, anything. Whatever, he was ready for anything. So that was really funny because he just does it. Like, he's funny.
So we went to Ohio last year, and I had the students convinced that there were bears in Ohio.
Everything in there.
And we were in Hocking Hills, Ohio, which is pretty heavy populated with humans. And but I got all the students convinced that there were bears. So Cody's first plan of action when we get out to hike is find a large stick, sharpen it to a point, and be ready to protect us. So every hike we did, Cody was about 20, 30 feet out ahead of us with this spear, just marching us through the wilderness of Ohio and warning us if there was a bear sighting. And if there was, he was ready to take it on.
Yes.
To where the controversy became, how are we going to defend ourselves against the bear? Cody had a plan that this stick was going to get the job done. The rest thought they were going to run and climb trees and that type of thing. So he was
We didn't even
go.
want to go. He was just bold. Like, the smallest thing we saw was like a lizard, I think. And like, he was ready to shake down anything.
Yes. We have a ton of fun on trips. And it's cool too because in the classroom, obviously students aren't always motivated to work. So we've got to discipline students, and we hate that part, but it's something we got to do to get students on track. But when we're out on these trips, we just get to be friends. And I get to be Aaliyah's partner in Kemps, and we get to dominate and laugh at everyone else who's losing to us because Aaliyah's the boss at Kemps. And those moments are really special. So that's why trips mean a lot to us.
Another question, this one comes from Jerry Pattengale. He wants to know if you're going to get a full sleeve tattoo like me.
Jerry Pattengale wants to know if I'm getting a full sleeve tattoo. How would you vote on that? Can I rock a full sleeve tattoo like Bo Hamner over there? No. You don't think I could? No. What do I got to do?
I think you just need to not get none at all.
No tattoos?
No, it's okay.
I've never seen someone with a full sleeve and thought that person doesn't look cool. I always think it looks cool. So
maybe if you get both sleeves, you'll look cool.
Both sleeves?
Yeah, not just one, though.
Can I wrap around to the chest?
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. So yes, I am getting a full sleeve tattoo. Thank you, Jerry. Jerry has talked about maybe us going together to get full sleeve tattoos, so that'd be fun. If there are no other questions.
Oh, yes.
Oh, we got more.
They keep coming in.
All right.
This one's Jordan Rife.
Okay.
Roger, has anyone from Kinwell beat you at pickleball?
Oh, good question. No. No one has beat me at pickleball. Drez, our other teacher, who enjoys fitness and challenged me to one-on-one in pickleball, which is pretty much just a marathon of running. He beat me as an adolescent pickleball player. So other than that, no.
Oh, they're saying Angel Hernandez?
Yes.
She chimed in and said everyone has beaten you.
Angel Hernandez says that everyone has beat me at pickleball. Angel is a former student of ours who graduated last year. What's up, Angel? You should be here right now, actually. You should be running this thing. Angel graduated with us. She came to us as a freshman, did all 40 credits with us. We love you so much, Angel. We miss you. But no one has beat me at pickleball in the school except for Drez.
All right. Well, Roger, no more questions. It might be a good time to make the big ask.
All right. There are no more questions. We are at about $1,000 right now. We have plenty of time to give. The give option will be open for a while if you need to talk to your spouse and see how much you can donate. Take the time and have that conversation. Ask God what he's asking you to give. I'm guessing God's going to ask you to be a little uncomfortable in the give. What are we at?
$21.50.
Okay. In the meantime, we have went from $1,000 to $2,150. So that's great progress. Thank you so much for your generosity. Thank you, Grant County, in our time doing this, I've learned how generous this community really is and how much they care about the next generation and investing in them. So we're going to do our part to use that money wisely and invest in students like Aaliyah, Tiana, Jaden, and Caden. But we desperately need the funds to do what we want to do next year. So thank you so much for giving. Please continue to give at kinwellacademy.org. There are no questions, so thank you so much.